What job or career should I do? Your soul level mission in life. What gifts am I supposed to contribute to this world? This is your soul's power, the gifts that are found inside our North Node. It should make you feel empowered and excited and lit up. Hello, my sweet friends. Today, we're going to have a really interesting look at the astrological natal chart and finding your career inside of it, finding your calling. And I'm going to give you about 5 or 6 different tools on how you can actually start to peel the onion around the question of what job or career should I do? There's so many things that I'm interested in and I just don't know what to choose, or I want to do something more fulfilling. What would I truly be good at? And I really like this question posed at young people. And when you look at your own child's chart, like let's say your 9-year-old's chart, if you will, you can start seeing astrologically what their gifts are, and you can start putting those gifts in front of them to see if they light up in their life. And you can really start to see the answer to the question of what should I do with my life in regards to my talents and my career. I can really see when somebody has sort of betrayed their own skill set or their own talents by choosing a career that, while they might have it in their chart in some way, shape, or form, it's not really their soul's calling or their soul's purpose in life as far as career goes. I took a class from a really great astrologer named Kay Taylor. I learned to look at the career in the chart a little bit uniquely and a little bit differently from Kay. And it was a really fun class to take. I want to dive into what Kay kind of taught me. The first thing I want you to know, and I hope everybody got to come to my Nodes Masterclass, and if not, you can buy my Nodes Masterclass, because you'll really find your skill set, your gifts and your talents, and then the skill set that you're supposed to cultivate as well. So you'll find your skill set pretty firmly based in your South Node. And then you'll see in your North Node the skill set that you are supposed to develop. I go deep into the nodes and deep into the talent around the nodes in those videos. And I also have a couple free videos about the nodes in my live tab if you want to go over there and check those out. The South Node will show you the gifts that you have cultivated and that you have honed in on lifetime after lifetime. So you've had lifetimes using these skills. And this is your habit pattern, if you will. And the North Node was not quite developed in a past lifetime unless you have a prominent planet conjunct that North Node. And then that will also show you what sort of happened in your last lifetime. So the North Node and the South Node need to be integrated in this lifetime for you to feel really, truly fulfilled. The axes are really interesting. So the Aries Libra axis is about you, Libra, and me. So it's about you and me, and it's very personal. So your job or your skill set really is about how you work with other people. You know, do you work independently and are you an entrepreneur, or do you have a business partner in Libra? And the second axis would be the Taurus Scorpio axis. And those are the great builders. Psychology, Scorpio, working with the psychological aspect of people. And the Taurus aspect is money. It's resources. It's the builder. It can be real estate and property. And it can also be working with growing self-confidence. But this is the wealth building axis. The third axis is Gemini Sagittarius. And so that if you have your nodes on these axes, these are big, important themes for your whole life, including your career probably. It could be very likely that you get paid to do your South Node because you're really good at it. But you need to find a way in this lifetime to also get paid for your North Node, right? That's our hope. So the third axis is an educational learning knowledge axis. So the axis of knowledge inside Gemini, we have the eternal student constantly learning. Sagittarius is the teacher. So we have the student teacher axis, but we also have like intellect. Gemini is like the data, the stats, the detail, the analytics, and Sagittarius is the storyteller or the disseminator of information. I'll also say this is a joy axis because Gemini and Sagittarius are two of the most joyful signs. There's optimism and enthusiasm. So your career or your calling could have a component of one of those things. There's a lot of inspiration. This can be an inspirational axis as well. If you've got this as your nodal axis, you're probably working in the field of knowledge or teaching or communicating. So this is a big communication axis. The 4th and the 10th, it's very interesting. The mother and father axis, the 10th house being the father, the 4th house being the mother. But this can also be the home and also your life in the world. This is intimacy, right? In the 4th house, like the deepest intimacy, and then success. And so this is a relationship access, if you will, a lot like the 1st and the 7th, but this is kind of mom and dad access. So do you work in the home or do you work out in the spotlight in the world? Are you an authority? That's the 10th house. Are you the leader, the CEO, the boss? And we're going to talk a lot about the midheaven. Or do you work in a more intimate one-on-one manner? So if you do have this access, you probably are in the business of cultivating people. And if you've got your south node or your north node in the 10th house, you're probably cultivating people by being a great leader. And if you have this in the 4th house, you probably cultivate people through a more intimate style, right? Like maybe a counselor or maybe a nurse, cultivating people, nurturing people, healing people in a more intimate way, working with people in a more intimate way. So the 6th axis, which is the Virgo Pisces, is the service axis. So service in the 6th house looks like I serve you, right? I do the daily routine to serve you, and I help this enterprise on a daily basis. And in the 12th house, I help humanity in a more spiritual way, or in a more interconnected way, or in a larger way. And like I'm a yoga teacher. So those are the pairs. So I want you to think about your career in terms of your south node and your north node. But I want to go a little bit deeper into this, okay? So this is going to be exciting. I want you to look at any planets or the nodes that you have conjunct to the MC by 10 degrees. So you've got the MC at the top of the chart. And then I want you to look and see if you have any planets in within 10 degrees in either direction, either in the 9th house or in the 10th house. And then I want you to, because that planet is going to be a very big part of your calling and your career and who you are supposed to actually become, or it will be a part of how you step into your best and highest self and how you pursue your place in the world. I want you to look at the ruling planet of the midheaven. So what that means is that thick line between the 9th and the 10th house. What sign is that? And then I want you to figure out which planet rules that sign. So if you have Aries there, it's Mars. If you have Taurus there on that line, you can have 2 or 3 signs per house, but I'm only talking about the midheaven. That is the line between the cusp between the 9th and the 10th house. What sign is on that line? If you have Taurus there, that means Venus is the ruler of your MC. If you have Gemini there, then you have Mercury as the ruler. If you have Scorpio there, you have 2, Mars and Pluto. And you need to memorize these rulers. This is really important. This planet is ruling your place in the world, the way in which you want to build your legacy. It represents your calling at your highest, best self. And why is this important? Because that planet is the generating force field, which is making that house, which stands for your legacy, who you are in the world, your calling, who you are going to be in the public eye, how you will be forever remembered. That planet is generating the energy and describing to you, if you don't yet know, what will most fulfill you. Wherever that planet is in your chart, it's telling you something really, really important, okay? If you have Scorpio on the MC, well, you know you have to go look at Mars and Pluto, and you have to see what those 2 planets are doing, what signs they're in, and what houses they're in to understand how to light up that 10th house, or to understand what will most fulfill you. And so that is the most important piece of your career puzzle, understanding what the best career is for you. If you have Cancer on the MC, you've got to go see what the moon is doing. If the moon is in the 12th house, well, we know a lot of different things about what the 12th house means. And you probably need a job that you feel very emotionally fulfilled around. You're probably not going to love being like a bank teller. You might love working with other people, but you probably, if your moon is in the 12th house, want to work with people that really need you, people that need your healing abilities. You probably will become a great healer. You'll probably want to work with people that need healing, that might be ill or sick or need inspiration in some way. Maybe you would be a great yoga teacher, if you will. So those are just some examples. And I'd love for you to leave in the comments below what sign you have on the cusp of the 10th house. And then you need to go find the ruling planet and see where that is in your chart and see what it's doing. And remember, and scroll back to what I said about the different axes, the different houses. What axis is it sitting in? So if the ruler of your MC is in the 3rd house, well, now we know that we have a communicator. We know that we have a people person because the 3rd house is Gemini's house, and that is the Gemini Sagittarius axis. We know we have somebody who wants a smart job. We know that we've got somebody who wants to move around in their job because this is a mutable house. And it does also matter what sign the ruling planet is in, but I want you to also consider the house in which the ruling planet is in. So if you've got the moon, let's say in Libra in the 3rd house, and the moon is on the MC on the cusp between the 9th and the 10th house, well, now we know that in order for us to do that 10th house well, our calling is going to have something to do with a Libra moon in the 3rd house. So now we have to blend the energies of Gemini and Libra. This is a real people person. This is a person who wants to talk for a living, tell a story for a living, get the facts for a living, study facts. And this is a person who wants a career where they're constantly learning and growing and maybe even teaching and mentoring because we're on that knowledge communication. This is also somebody who wants a job that creates happiness because this is the happiness axis. So you guys kind of getting it? Okay, let's say that you've got Virgo. I'm just throwing out random placements and I'm just doing this off the cuff, so bear with me. But let's say you've got Virgo up there on the cusp, okay? And let's say you even have Virgo and you've got Libra and a little bit of Scorpio. We're going to look to the house ruler, which is going to belong to Virgo because Virgo is on the cusp. So we're going to look to that house ruler and we're going to find Mercury. So let's say we have got Mercury in Pisces in the 4th. Let's just say our Mercury is in Pisces in the 4th. Well, now we know that this person has a service axis because Pisces and Virgo go back and rewind and listen to the different axes. This person wants to be in service. And this person does really, really well, probably organizing all of the details to provide a service. So an event planning company, a wedding planner, maybe even a consultant, maybe somebody who sets up projects, from start to finish. But we know that this person needs to feel in service and probably with their Mercury in Pisces is very intuitive as well as analytical. But we know that this person also needs to feel like intimately attached to, because they've got the Mercury in Pisces in the 4th. They need to feel intimately attached to either their clients or to the process or to the relationships in which they're serving or the people in which they're serving. And there may even be a healing aspect with that Pisces in Mercury in the 4th house of Cancer, because the 4th house naturally belongs to Cancer. And so you have to blend all those energies to understand what energy you most need in order to feel fulfilled. They'd probably be an absolutely excellent counselor or a therapist because they've got their communication planet ruling their 10th house, ruling their house of legacy, right? That's Mercury. They have it in Pisces, so they really want a deep connection. And it's in the 4th house of Cancer. And so then there's intimacy there. And they love helping people. I also want you to take into consideration any planets that are on the MC because that is going to add a secondary color to this house placement and to the story of your career. Now, I want you to look at any aspecting planets to the ascendant. And this is really important because the ascendant is who are you walking out the front door? What do I want to get out of life? This is every new beginning. This also represents your childhood, 0 to 14. And if you guys really want in-depth detail on your rising sign or your ascendant, it's the same thing. Two different words, but they mean the same thing. Please go watch my rising sign series. It's really, really deep. A lot of those videos come with warning labels, but you need to understand your ascendant, and if there's any planets that aspect it, and I'm talking major aspects, so oppositions, squares, trines, sextiles, or conjunctions within 10 degrees of your ascendant. Now, your ascendant is going to have a degree. So it's going to be right on the outside. So it's that thick line. Hopefully you guys all have one of my gorgeous natal charts, because I have, if you can't read the circle, I have everything in the boxes that will show you where your ascendant is and what degree it's at. But if you don't have any planets that aspect your ascendant, oh my gosh, you're really special. If that's you, please leave me a comment in the notes below, because that is really, really unique. But if you don't have any major aspects from planet to your ascendant, it will take extra work, if you will, to go forward into life, to move through life. It will take extra energy, extra time. You'll have to be extraordinarily savvy trying to find the doors that will open. Go through the doors that open easily for you. And you might have to use a little bit more sweat equity to get those doors to open. If you have Saturn in a hard aspect, so in an opposition or a square to your ascendant, it's kind of hard for you to put yourself out there. It's hard for you to really be seen sometimes. And it takes extra hard work to also get those doors open. You might get a lot of no's. I'm watching this girl on Instagram or TikTok. I can't remember which one. And she lives in New York City, and she applies, or she goes to auditions all month long. And then she documents how many auditions she went to, where the auditions were, what the auditions were for. And she shows you her dance classes, her acting classes. She hasn't gotten a gig yet. And and then at the end of the month, she gives you the summary of how many auditions she went to, how many callbacks she got, how many yeses, how many no's, and how many times has she been cast. She's never been cast, but she has gotten to callbacks. And she really gives you a realistic life picture on how frickin' hard it is to go to an audition and get cast in a show, or get cast in a commercial, or get cast in a film. I love her spirit, though, because she just gets back up every single day and rides, and she gets mostly no's. And so that can feel like a Saturn square or a Saturn opposition to the ascendant. If you have your sun in a positive aspect to, well, I should say, if you have your Saturn in a positive aspect to your rising sign, it means that responsibility and probably bigger jobs than even you thought you were ready for find you or are placed upon you. A lot of responsibility. You'll step into a lot of responsibility. You'll probably get chances in life that maybe you didn't even ask for to grow. Now, I want to tell you something. Do not feel bad if you have a Saturn square ascendant. It just means that you probably have to give yourself a little bit of a break, be willing to learn and grow, be okay with hearing no thank you, and go out with more determination than ever and get your yes. With your sun in positive aspect to the ascendant, it's like you're probably going to need a job, want a job, and find a job that makes you feel vibrant, full of life and vitality. And your work will most likely, or it should at least, if you're really doing your soul's work, it should make you feel empowered and excited and lit up. Now, if you have your sun square the ascendant, you still have all that available to you, but there's a little bit of tension inside of it, and your work might have more of a challenge in it. So maybe your job is a little bit too hard, and you have to work hard to really master it to get that vibrant feeling. But there's some sort of personal challenge about your work, and you might need a job that challenges you. If you have your moon in a positive aspect, you really will attract or want to attract or need or desire a job that makes you feel safe and secure, and loving what you do is imperative. You need to have a job that makes you want to go to work in the morning. And if you have moon square the ascendant, it might be hard to find that exact job that keeps you emotionally fulfilled. It's available to you. You just have to probably work a few jobs to learn what does not fulfill you emotionally. If you have Mercury in any aspect to the ascendant, you need a job that has a lot of movement, a lot of mental power, a job that allows you to communicate, and you are a people person. So you need a people person job and a communication job. If it's in square to the ascendant or opposing the ascendant, it might be like communication overload. Like, oh my God, you might be a tour director, right? And you're just exhausted from talking all day. You might be a singer on tour that is just absolutely exhausted. You might be working a call center that is just nonstop. So it could just be like communication to a point where it's exhausting, challenging, or frustrating. Or you might have hard communication to do. Maybe you have to do interrogation, right? There's a challenge inside the communication piece to your job, but communication is very, very important. If you have Venus in a positive aspect, well, this is abundance, beauty, love, harmony, and financial reward. And if you have it square to the ascendant, it's hard for you sometimes to ask for your rightful amount of money, or it's hard for you to get the kind of money you want from the job that you do. Let's say you're an artist and you've got Venus square the ascendant. It's hard for you to ask for the $10,000 this painting is really worth, so you sell it instead for $900. Really step up and ask for your worth. If you've got Mars in positive aspect to the ascendant, there is a drive, there is an ambition, there is a competitiveness to be the best, to do fantastic work. Your Mars is your life force energy. So your life force energy really needs to be activated in an alignment with who you want to be in the world. This is your soul's power, your willpower, your soul power. And so you have a lot of juice, you have a lot of energy to honestly become the best in your field. You want to. And if you can't be the best, you probably will not want to do that job for very long. And if you've got this in a square aspect to the ascendant, it's not difficult for you to be the best, but it takes extra hard work. You might be in a highly competitive field. You might want to be a professional baseball player, but oh my God, and you're the pitcher and you need to throw a 98 mile an hour fastball now. And your arm really only wants to throw a 92 mile an hour. So you have to work hard to be competitive, right? You have to really, really get in there. And your drive and your desire probably have to amplify for you to match it with the dream, to amplify yourself. One thing I want to say is if you have Mars square to the ascendant, you could sort of feel also life is a competition and you just can't get ahead. You could feel like, gosh, or you could pick like an angry field or you could have just frustration and anger that like this girl who's auditioning for all these roles in New York City and not getting anything. Well, she's not angry, which I really admire, but your job, there could be something very challenging or difficult, daily challenges. This reminds me like of a firefighter where that's not an easy job. So you might also gravitate towards jobs that are just not simple. You might gravitate towards a job that requires all of you, an emergency room doctor, if you will. If you have Saturn here in a positive aspect, you can really become a master guru of your work. You can really have a tremendous amount of accomplishment and success. If you have it in challenging aspect square opposition, you can feel like the responsibility or the weight of the work is just so difficult. You can also feel like you're not being promoted or fast enough, like you want more responsibility. You want more than what they're giving you. So really stand in your power. Know that it takes time with Saturn. Things do not happen quickly with Saturn. Saturn's pretty slow moving. The reason why I'm using the ascendant is because the ascendant shows us also another face of who you are in the world. And I have another technique here that I want to show you that's going to drive all of this together and put all of this together for you. And it's just absolutely fascinating. And by the way, I really recommend your soul's design report in my shop and also your child's report, even for your own self. It is absolutely amazing because it does talk a lot about who you were born to be, what your natural curiosities and inclinations are. Both of those reports are so damn good. They are like my favorite. I didn't write them, but I bought the license to sell them. And they are fantastic. Both of them are for the questions around who am I? Who am I supposed to be in the world? What gifts am I supposed to contribute to this world? If you have Uranus in a positive aspect, you're very inventive and you're going to be the kind of person who helps create change, who sees that things can be different. You're going to be quite innovative. And if you have this in a square aspect, I will say the same exact thing. You're going to be a great change maker. And a lot of people might not like you. You might be a little controversial, right? Like, oh, this change is uncomfortable. So it's like when Beyonce started singing country music, the industry at first was like, we're not playing your music. Now they can't get it off the radio station. And they're like, you don't belong here. And then here she's a change maker. Like when Taylor Swift moved from country to pop, they were like, nope, change maker, Uranus. So there might be a feeling of rejection a little bit until there's acceptance. And Neptune, I really think Neptune in relationship to the Ascendant is sort of having a spiritual awareness and the power to manifest your dreams. If you are in a positive aspect with Neptune and if you are working with your Neptune. Otherwise, if it's in square to Neptune, you could feel like a lost soul. Like, I don't know who I am, what I want. I don't know. You might feel like you never really get to know what your gifts genuinely are. So there could be this feeling of changing out your job frequently, always trying on something new, never feeling truly satisfied. That doesn't have to stay that way. If you work with Neptune in a really positive way, you also can be a phenomenal manifester. You just have to sit still, really channel and go where opportunities find you. Figure out what makes you feel so comfortable and then pursue that relentlessly and not be so sensitive where you give up. Do not give up. Neptune in any relationship to the Ascendant can actually give up their dreams because the Neptune person can feel like they're impossible to have or they're too lofty, they're too big. Pluto, when you have Pluto in aspect to the Ascendant or in positive aspect to the Ascendant, you can feel like you are really wanting to get in touch with and understand and pursue your soul's calling. There is this deep and intense desire to transform the world around you, improve things, make things better, purify things, clean things up. Also, when you do this, when you do your true calling and your deep, meaningful, transformative work, you also heal your own self. You're also supposed to do things that require like a little bit of power and that are a little bit scary. Is it scary for you to leave the corporate world and go start your own thing, right? So the thing that intimidates you and tackling those jobs that do intimidate you to prove to yourself that you can in fact do it. That's how you transform yourself. That's going to be the truth. Like you could have a very dangerous job. You could be, SEAL Team 6 if you have a square or opposite aspect, or you could have like a dirty job. Pluto square, Pluto opposition. Maybe you're the sanitation worker. You might have a job that other people don't really want to have, but there's something very meaningful and powerful usually about people who have Pluto in aspect to their rising sign. In order to look at your calling, it's not just the Ascendant and it's not just the MC. There's different houses that show us the circle of life when it comes to your calling. So I like to look at the second house because that is the house of money and that shows us how you're going to make your money. So if you have Sagittarius there, you're going to probably make big money and lose big money. So big wins, big losses, right? And so you really want to look at the house and the planets. If you have Venus in the second house, you're probably going to make money. And it's probably going to be pretty easy for you to make money. But we have to see what that Venus is doing in the chart. You guys know we don't do sun sign astrology. You can't just be, oh, you're a Gemini. Are you a writer? No, we have to go look at the whole entire chart. So the second house is really important to see how you're going to earn your money, what your relationship to money is. But really what I want to tell you is the sign on the cusp of the second house is showing us your skill set that you need to use or that you will use in order to develop your self-worth and your worth. So the second house shows us actually how you're going to, in fact, earn your money and what skills you need to use in order to earn this money. What do you have? What sign do you have ruling your second house? Then you go look at that house ruler. So I have Virgo as my second house cusp placement. I have that sign. And so I need to go look at what Mercury's doing in my chart to understand how I'm actually going to earn my money. And guess what? I'm going to earn my money through doing Mercury things. Well, what are Mercury things? Talking, right? So I'm going to earn my money through talking, thinking, and I got to go find the planet Mercury and I got to see what that's doing in order to see how I'm going to talk. Who am I going to talk to? So I have Mercury in Scorpio in the fourth. Well, I'm going to talk deeply and I'm going to talk psychologically and I'm going to talk about psychology or astrology and I'm going to talk in intimate ways. Well, what's that? Maybe a reading. That's how I'm going to make my money. And that's also how I'm going to Virgo and Mercury are going to show me the skills that I need to develop. Let's say I'm a 6-year-old, the skills I need to develop in order to earn money. So if I was my own parent, I would say you need to learn how to communicate and you need to learn how to perfect your communication style, whatever that looks like. And that's probably too big of a burden to put on a 6-year-old. But something about Virgo wants it to be accurate, wants it to be honest, pure and true. So it isn't Sagittarius communication, just color it right. It's really get your details right, like fine tune your ability to communicate. The second house is going to show you how you earn your dollars. And it's also going to show you what skill set you need to grow your self-esteem and your self-confidence and your self-worth to earn your dollars. You guys got that? This part is so exciting. So I want to keep going. I want to keep sharing with you and telling you about this in a more deep and profound way. So what I also want to tell you is that if you really want to learn astrology, I have a workshop called Learn Astrology in 3 Hours. And you can go to my shop and you can just buy that, watch that video, and you can learn how to truly read your chart. It is so good. And it has a really, really great overview on how to study astrology, learn astrology, and start applying astrology and all of the magic inside of it into your own life. I want you guys to have the magic. That's available. I taught that in Seattle last year, and it's a workshop, and it's how to learn astrology in 3 hours, or learn astrology in 3 hours. Let's talk about the sixth house. So we move from the second and we go to the sixth. This is to see your career. And the sixth is the kind of job that's going to suit us. So what do you need in your job? So I want you to look at the sign on the cusp of the sixth house. And I want you to then go find the planetary ruler. And if you are confused about what the planetary ruler is, just back this video up because I talked about it earlier, the different rulers for each of the planets. And so I want you to see what sign is on the cusp of the sixth house. Then you're going to go find that planetary ruler. And that is going to tell you what your job, what your work, what your duties, what your service to others needs to have in it for you to feel fulfilled. Long story short, this is basically your work style. This is how you will provide a service. This is how you will actually show up and execute your job. And this can kind of show us like what kind of work, what kind of role suits us in our job. I want you to really look at the sign. If you've got Capricorn there, well, you kind of want to be the boss. If you've got Pisces there, well, you need compassion. You probably need spa music playing in the background. And you're a little bit more of a free spirit. You don't want a job that has a ton of rules and regulations. Maybe you want to make it up every single day. If you've got Taurus there, you really want to understand the expectations. If you've got Virgo there, you really want your schedule laid out and you want to know exactly what tools you need to be masterful in your work. So no surprises for Virgo in the sixth. So let's talk about the 10th. Now the 10th house, and I hope you guys all watched my video with Connie Joe. I have a couple different videos on the 10th house. Please go watch that video. It is so good. I call this Beethoven's house. And this is your career reputation. This is your reputation in society. This is your legacy. This is your calling at your highest self. So it might not be your daily job, but this is kind of like if you could do anything in the world and you could make an impact on the world, this 10th house will show you what that is. Now, we don't usually go out and search for our 10th house. Our 10th house oftentimes happens to us or it unfolds out of us naturally. It's oftentimes some karmic gifts that we have in this lifetime. We find our way with them and using them. I also want to stress that this house is very, very important. And if you have planets in this house, they will really become your best friend and they will help you. The 10th house is the house that has that MC. And we already talked about the MC. And if you've got planets in relationship to planets in the 10th house, or if your ruler is in a really strong aspect to your 10th house, this is just gorgeous. This probably is going to help you become very, very renowned in your calling. Okay, let's talk about the 11th house. So the 11th house is very interesting and it is sort of your long-term calling and it's what you will do in this lifetime, but not for money. It's sort of like how you pay your gifts forward. And this shows us what kind of people and groups and organizations that you love to be with and you enjoy. So the 11th house shows us what you actually enjoy. And if you can incorporate your 11th house into your money-making job, that's really cool. But this is the part of you that would do this kind of work for free. So it's very soul enriching. And I have a whole video with Connie Joe on the 11th house, and that is also a great video for you to watch. The 11th house is really important. It can be even your vocation. In some ways, maybe your hobbies that you love love to do. What planet rules that 11th house? If you've got Gemini on the 11th house cusp, well, your Mercury ruled. If you've got Cancer on the 11th house cusp, your heart, right? You want to be in intimate service to other people in a heartfelt job. If you've got Aquarius in the 11th house, well, Saturn and Uranus, you want to be innovative and a leader, and you like being a leader of an organization. You're probably super inventive. You might have been inventing things, making things better, going kind of against the grain, figuring out how to make things unique and different. I think about the girl on Instagram who shows you this is what getting dressed looks like, and this is what getting styled looks like. And she wears the same exact outfit, but she shows you how you just put it on, you put on the outfit, and then she shows you, you put it on and then you style it. And it's just like pop. That is very Aquarius on the 11th house cusp, because it takes this concept and it improves it into this like unbelievable, like didn't even think of how to wear this outfit like this. And it is so unique and so cool. The 11th house will show you how you will go about improving your work. Okay, the 12th house, that sign that is on that 12th house cusp is really important because this is going to be the planet of your spiritual vocation. So your spiritual vocation is the deeper spiritual energy that is infused into the work that you do. It's the reason why you do the job that you do. I do this job to help people build and grow their most meaningful lives. I do this job to help people fall in love with themselves, with life, and develop harmony, love, and compassion for others. That is my spiritual vocation. And I use astrology and YouTube, and you can find that all over my chart. I use astrology and YouTube to propel that spiritual vocation forward in my life. And then I talk for a living in order to earn money. It's really, really fascinating how all of this works. 12th house is really important because that planet that is ruling that 12th house is going to tell you what you need in order for that job to be good for your soul. So I, for example, have Cancer ruling the 12th house. Well, that means my heart. So I have to go look at my moon, and I have to have a happy moon, right? And I have to have moon type things: love, healing, nurturance, peace, harmony. And I do have that, especially on this channel. I have the nicest people in the world in my lives and that I get to work with. This is the kindest community I've ever seen in any social media arena. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but I probably wouldn't be able to do the job if it wasn't, truthfully, because if it had too much conflict in it, my moon wouldn't be able to deal with that. The 12th house will show you your soul level mission in life. You will need your 12th house to really be happy. Now let's talk about a few of the other houses that I skipped over. The 7th house is interesting because it's going to show you your business relationships. It's going to show you like your competitors, right? The people, if I was laying tile, this would show me other people that were laying tile. This will also show me my business relationships, but it will also show me my clients. So if you have a client-based job, go look at your 7th house, because those are the kinds of clients that you want to attract. What is on the cusp of my 7th house? Aquarius. That's why you're here. Unique-minded people that want to advance themselves, people who seek enlightenment and betterment, people who have more of a humanitarian bent to their psyches, right? People who are interested in the odd thing. When I started doing astrology 24 years ago, it was a really odd thing. I mean, it was very, very unusual. I mean, I was in the closet for a long time as an astrologer. I didn't tell people what I really did for a living. And that is very Aquarian on the 7th house cusp. So the 7th house will show you your client-based relationships, maybe what your clients want or are even coming for. And also Aquarius is the higher mind. It's the higher octave of the mind. And it's the kind of business partnerships that you will attract. The 8th house, remember, go back to the access. The 8th house shows us our finances and our money, and how the 2nd house is money, and the 8th house is those who will invest in us to help us grow. And it's all kinds of investment. I think that is really, really fascinating. And the work cycle starts with the self, right? The pragmatics of the second house. What can I do to earn cash? Goes all the way through the signs, if you think about it, to the 12th house, where then it becomes very soul-centered, soul-enriching. When you have transits to the 10th house, the second house, the 6th house, sometimes the 7th house, and the 11th and 12th house, this is when you are being brought opportunities in your career, especially the 10th. If you have Saturn transiting one of those houses, again, it's the 2nd, the 6th, sometimes the 7th, the 10th, 11th, and the 12th. Saturn brings mastery, responsibility, and levels up your game. You are building your career calling, right? You're stepping into a higher level of your career. And there is oftentimes a grand plan for your life that will be revealed. And when you have your nodal return, so you have a south node in Libra and you have a north node in Aries, and by transit, the south node are in those respective signs, and they match up with your south node and your north node. Well, we're brought back into sort of an eternal harmony. We're asked at that time to really lean into our north node and develop our new gifts, the gifts that are found inside our north node. When you have Uranus aspecting one of these parts of the chart, especially the 10th house, it's going to create change. Uranus is the great change maker. And so there will be an about face and maybe a twist and a turn. There will be a spontaneous or unpredictable change to your calling. When you have Neptune transiting one of those houses, you might not even know what the hell you're doing. You just have to follow your intuition. You might feel like, I've just totally lost myself to this job and I don't want to do this work anymore. I've been a career nurse my whole life and now I want to go and I want to be an artist. I don't even know why. I just do. I'm sick of this. I can't do this. I can't do massage therapy anymore. I'm going to go walk dogs. So there's oftentimes a change and you're being asked to literally feel your pulse and listen to your intuition. When you have a Pluto transit in one of those houses, and especially if it's in transit and it's in a relationship to a planet in one of those houses that I mentioned, there's a destiny, there is a transformation, and you will be getting an opportunity to go deep, deep, deep into your soul's calling. And this career shift can genuinely transform the entirety of your life. So I know that's a lot. You're probably going to need to listen to this video a few times and write down all the different things that I said. But when you take a look at this formula, you can see yourself in your career or not. One thing I would like to do is I would like to give you the courage to find and figure out your soul-centered work and do it. Try your hand at it. Maybe you're not going to let go of your 9-to-5 job, but how could you synthesize or incorporate the true calling of your soul into your daily life and even start to get paid for it? Right? I want everybody to find the deep fulfillment in their work and in their life calling. I think it's profoundly important to do so. We only have one lifetime, right? Contribute the gifts and the skills that really light your heart on fire and allows you to share those with the rest of the world to help the rest of the world benefit as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I love being here with you. As you can see, I'm a proud Washington mom. My daughter got accepted to the University of Washington, and we are celebrating over here, and life is really good and sweet. And I hope yours is too. I wish you the very, very best, and take good care wherever you are at in the world. From my home here in Seattle, Washington, I wish you the very, very best. Bye for now.